Enterprise Europe Network hosted by Vilnius Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Crafts, together with our embassy to Canada and Canadian experts from companies like a Pace Law Firm, as well Pace Global, are organizing this event. Some of you already have sent your questions, so hopefully we'll have question answer session. So please, if you have some more questions, write down them, and maybe we'll see how many time we'll have to answer your questions. If there will be a very specific one, maybe they'll be answered directly to you. It's up to our experts. And now I'd like to start to ask our ambassador, Darius Kusevičius, to open our event. And yeah, ambassador, floor is yours, please.
Audronė, thank you so much, and thanks everybody on this side of the ocean for coming so early, especially Christopher, our honorary consul in Vancouver, for whom it's 6 o'clock in the morning now, but also all the others, including Al, Pace, Stefania, Mike, others. So thank you for joining for this first mini mission of Lithuanian food and beverage industry companies to Canada. And this idea was floating in the air already for quite some time. With Audronė and Chambers, Vilnius Chambers, we were planning to have this mission in April, I think initially, to participate in CIAL conference in Montreal. Unfortunately, it is as it is, and now we are looking forward to CIAL conference in Toronto next year. Hopefully, everything will, we will have solutions to the current pandemic, and we will be able to participate. COVID created lots of difficulties, but there are few advantages, and one of those is that we can finally use technologies as we were able, by the way, to do all the time, but finally we are really using technologies, and we can connect from our offices, no matter in which country we are. So really great to have this mission today. I believe that this event will be more explorational and should serve as one of the steps in decision-making process for the companies to try to come to Canadian market or not, and hopefully your decisions will be positive. Today, later, you will hear from real experts here in Canada, Pace Global Advantage and Pace Law Company representatives. Their founder and CEO, Al Pace, is Lithuanian by roots, awarded by President of Lithuania, and serves all his life in connecting ties between different businesses and companies. Stefania works for this company, and Mike is a great expert of food and beverages industry. Today we are also joined by Laurynas Miškinis, who represents Auga, success story of Lithuanian company, which just recently announced entering more broadly North American market, including US and Canada. I started my posting in Canada exactly 1 year ago, and my main feeling even now is that Lithuanian companies and society in general knows about Canada almost nothing, except polar bears, Niagara Falls, and beautiful nature. let me assure you that this country is a great place not only to discover the nature, but also a great place for your business expansion. CETA. CETA entered, as you all know, CETA entered into force provisionally three years ago. Still, some member states of European Union have to ratify the agreement. I think a bit less than half of them for now, but it's provisionally applied. And what does it mean for businesses? Main advantage for businesses is that with CETA, 99% of customs tariffs for import and export was scraped. There are other advantages like opening up of Canadian services market to EU, including Lithuanian companies, enabling EU and Lithuanian companies to bid for more public contracts in Canada, decreasing bureaucracy, for example, with REX custom system in place, which simplifies the procedures, making it easier for Lithuanian professionals to work in Canada. Statistics for now look really positive, and trade between European Union and Canada increased during this 3 years period by 21% yearly. Lithuanian businesses also, we are proud that turnover increased twice. Export increased 3 times, and now it is 150 million euros. Import from Canada is still relatively low to Lithuania. Sectors which currently benefit the most: apparel, furniture, iron and steel, plastic products, smoked fish, fertilizer, wheat, gluten, various chemical products. And seeing this list and those numbers, I definitely see and feel that there is a great possibility to increase those numbers and increase Lithuanian presence here in Canada. Who does what a little bit? Contact points in Lithuania for you to know. I'm sorry, I started in English and net nepasakiau, bet pradėjau angliškai kalbėti. Mūsų pirminis sutarimas buvo iš karto, kad aš kalbėsiu angliškai tam, kad kiti pašnekovai, kurių dalis nekalba lietuviškai, irgi girdėtų, kas buvo pasakyta ir galėtų savo pristatymas nesikartoti. Sorry, dear colleagues, I just explained why I'm talking in English. Is for you to understand and not to repeat ourselves. So contact points. In Lithuania, I would say main and primary contact points should be, let's start from chambers, Vilnius chambers, represented here by Audronė. But on government side, for international trade, is responsible Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it has Department of International Economical Trade Affairs. Also, Ministry of Economy and Innovation, and under the ministry, they have agency called Versli Lietuva, which provides great advice and instruments for strengthening those relations. Also, I would like to mention Office of Canadian Embassy in Lithuania. And those who already trying to get to Canadian market, they know that Eglė Jurkevičienė is the contact person. And definitely I see that Rimas Čiuplinskas is here with us also, just recently established Lithuanian Canadian Chambers of Commerce. So this is one more organization to be contacted. And in Canada, again, embassy, with our general knowledge about the agreements and all the processes. It's me and Inga Mishkinita, my colleague, who is responsible for economical relations, but also for many other topics. Honorary consuls, and really thankful for Chris and Arunas for joining us today. Canada is a big country. We have honorary consuls in British Columbia, Alberta, Toronto, and Montreal, which are helping us on voluntary basis to make those connections and ties. And of course, if company is really planning to come to the market, then you will definitely need at some point business consultancy companies, business consultants, some people who would help you to establish those relations on the ground. And here I look again to my screen, at my screen to Al, Stefania, Mike, who are real experts in this area. Laurinas maybe has from Auga Group has other experiences which he will share, but definitely you need those people here on the ground. So we are here to help. You know, luckily we have more and more resources available online. One of those resources is access to markets, EU online portal with lots of information about concrete markets and concrete rules to enter the market. And finishing, I'm already speaking too long as for introductory, but just shortly about Canada. Population constantly growing, 37 million. 10th GDP in the world, member of G7 and G20. Very well known for its immigration policy. I would even call Canada European country in North America, because behavior, understand, there are lots of similarities with Europe. Their main major trade partner, of course, is US. But what we see recent 4 or 5 years is increased talks about the need to diversify. And one of the sources for diversification is seen EU through its CETA agreement. Greatest advantage is that political system is very stable and transparent. Both major political parties are multilateralists, free trade supporters. So the course, the possibility that course will be changed in coming years, it's really minimal. But there are some things to have in mind. Canada is a federation. And this means that if you think of entering Canadian market, you should understand that you will be dealing with not one, but 11 governments, because there are 10 provinces and federal government. So, and every of these provinces has its own regulation, rules, etc., etc. So you should have this in mind. And very oftenly, Canada is considered as a best way to enter in general North American market. So there are lots of opportunities, but we cannot do your job for you. We are here to help, to consult, to bring you contacts you need, but definitely there is a lot of homework which should be done if you are considering entering Canadian market. Those people we have here today with us are great experts, and without further ado, I will give the floor to them by saying that I hope that you will consider Canada as a market, as a next market for your products. And hope we'll have an opportunity to see you next year in Canada physically. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your insights and relevant information for our companies. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Al Pace to present hints how to succeed in Canada. Mr. Alpace, floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, I guess, to everyone. Firstly, I'd like to start with a little bit of a history, a quick tie and a little explanation of the genesis of Pace Global. Pace Law Firm I started that over 40 years ago, and it grew to, at one point, over 180 legal professionals. One of the areas that we're quite successful in and very expert in is immigration, particularly investor and entrepreneur immigration, not just to Canada, but internationally. A number of years ago, we were struck by the fact that a lot of our clients who came to Canada were coming to us on a regular basis asking for advice in terms of who they should deal with, what accountant, what bank, because they'd had bad experiences, they didn't connect with the right people. And it came clear that there was a very large need to have some sort of business facilitation resource for them. And thus grew Pace Global. And so what Pace Global does is when a company comes to Canada or wants to come to Canada, number one, we give them as much help as we can in terms of connecting them with the right people, providing them with the right resources and information in terms of market, et cetera. But once they get here, we connect them with, for instance, a banker, an accountant, a lawyer. Now, any bank will open up a bank account for a business and will handle their account. But in one sector, a certain bank has a lot of expertise. They have a lot of clients in that sector. So they're going to be a lot more helpful to a client than the bank who doesn't have anyone in that space. Or same thing applies for accountants. Same thing applies for lawyers, business lawyers, et cetera. I mean, specialized. Different areas need different types of expertise. It's important to have someone in a jurisdiction. I think any one of you who's done business in another jurisdiction knows that having someone in that jurisdiction with that kind of expertise that I've just mentioned is essential for success. Canada is not the EU, and Canada has a lot of particular regulations and rules, and especially in the food industry, for instance, and other areas that one needs to be aware of before beginning the foray into this jurisdiction. Michael will be talking to us particularly about the Canadian food industry and frankly the North American food industry. He has many years of experience dealing with all the different food distributors and the big corporations, and he's been to all the shows. He knows all the people personally. He'll be able to give you some very significant practical advice. The whole point of what Pace Global and Pace Law Firm do, they work very closely together and to provide the proper resources. A lot of companies internationally want to come to Canada, not because, or a lot of people approach our immigration department, not because they want to immigrate with their families to Canada, because they want to do business in Canada. They want to be considered as, have the same benefits of landed immigrant status. Landed immigrant status doesn't mean that an individual is going to come to Canada and leave their home jurisdiction and become Canadians. What it means is that you're going to be entitled to the kind of benefits that the government gives to Canadian corporations. You get a lower tax rate for the first $500,000 of income, and you get a different kind of consideration for grants and government support. And then some people find that to be a very good thing. Now, the other thing is Canada is a great jumping point into the United States. Ever since the NAFTA agreement that was signed a number of years ago, it is seamless for Canadian companies to do business in the United States. If a Canadian company wants to send over people to the United States, the process to work in the United States for them, the process is extremely simple. It takes about an extra half hour in your flight to the United States to get your visa to work in the United States. You go to the airport, and when you're pre-clearing United States Customs, you simply say that you're applying under the Canada, Mexico, United States Free Trade Agreement, and that you're applying for a certain type of a visa. You present them with your documentation, and if everything's fine, they stamp your passport, instant visa. So a lot of companies look at Canada as an easy jump off point to the United States market. The United States market is a tough market. Pace Global, for instance, introduces our clients to the appropriate accelerator or incubator, for instance, for startups or companies that would like to start their businesses in Canada. I'm not talking about a startup from scratch, but a company that's working in the EU that wants to penetrate the North American market. We would connect them with the right entities if that is appropriate. But again, they're going to be surgically selected. It's not going to be the same entity for every business. When we were in Lithuania just a few months ago, at the end of last year, prior to COVID, we met with a couple of companies, and one in particular went to Boston to visit with a company that they had met in Lithuania that was going to give them tremendous assistance in terms of developing their high-tech product. And within hours of landing in Boston, it was clear that that company was not going to be able to be of any assistance to them at all. And they basically turned around and flew back to Lithuania early. And we hear that story over and over again. So what we like to do is we like to make sure that all of these things are done well in advance so that when people do come over to Canada, they're not wasting their time, that the homework that they need to do before coming over is done, and that when they come over, it'll be a meaningful experience. That's basically one of the most important things we can do for them. Now today, I understand that we're dealing with a lot of industries in the food sector. And therefore, we've got Mike Giardi, who is associated with Pace Global, who is going to, I believe, give you some practical tips and some practical advice. And also, we're very much looking forward to hearing from Auga, who has successfully penetrated already and is starting to work in the Canadian market. So in any event, without any further ado, I'll pass it on then back to Audrona for Michael's comments.
Thank you, Al, for your insights and presentation. And well, now I give a floor to Stefania Sabo, and this is, I think, the very interesting for food companies who are here to listen about food and beverage market in Canada. Stefania.
Thank you, Audrene, and good afternoon, everyone in Lithuania, and good morning to those who joined us.
Can you make a full screen, please?
Full screen?
I mean, oh yeah, like a presenter.
I'm trying to. It doesn't allow me to go full screen.
Slideshow can be like this from beginning.
Yeah, it just doesn't allow me. Okay, now is it better?
Whatever.
Can you see it? Because on my screen it's full screen, but
maybe it takes some time, but okay, we can hear and listen like that.
Okay, so as Pace mentioned, Pace Global Advantage is part of Pace Law Group, and we work very closely with Pace Immigration. And the previous two speakers actually covered quite some part of my presentation. So I will skip a few slides to make up the lost time. I started to work for Pace Global Advantage over a year ago. I'm a former Hungarian diplomat. So I worked in my previous capacity as Consul General for Hungary, closely with Paul Kuras, who is the Honorary Consul of Lithuania here in Toronto. And now I'm working with the ambassador of Lithuania, and really no offense to any diplomats on this call, but Alpace is really the best volunteer ambassador for Lithuania the country can wish for. In our team, we have a number of business analysts who provide the support for the companies who choose to work with us. PACE Global Advantage, we focus on a number of things, mainly for business facilitation to help companies who want to make a break in North America to establish distributorship or branch, set up a corporation here in Canada, and brokering the new relationships that they need in order to be successful. And once they establish their company, they will definitely need HR support, marketing support, and legal support, and we provide all of this. And Al spoke in detail about how we collaborate with PACE Immigration, supporting those entrepreneur clients who want to settle in Canada and want to obtain permanent residency. And we mainly do it through the startup visa program. We also do market studies, and we collaborate closely with Mike Ricciardi, who is coming up next in the presentation. He is our associate in the food and beverages industry. And in these market studies, especially now during COVID that you cannot travel, you need to make sure that the market you would like to export to or enter to is really suitable for your product or service. You don't want, as Al mentioned, our personal experience with Lithuanian companies, invest in a trip, land in Canada or in the United States, and realizing the partners you thought you is going to support your efforts are actually not the right ones. So we want to make sure that you are connected with all the right people in order to be successful here in Canada. I still listed in and outbound business trips in my presentations, which actually now is not taking place, but I hope that after COVID passes, we will go back and we will do these trips. So the ambassador briefly introduced Canada, and it's really important to understand there are 3 levels of government in Canada. It's federal state with federal, provincial, and territorial, and municipal governments. And there are 10 provinces and 3 territories. And Canada has only one neighbor, the United States of America, with almost 9,000 kilometers of shared border. And of course, the main trading partner of Canada is the United States. So what you need to know if you want to do business, want to export your product to Canada, your Bible for that is CETA. You need to study the details of that agreement, although it's just provisionally applicable. It's like, it is in fact, in effect. But there are other, Canada has 14 other free trade agreements. So one of the largest free trade agreement network Canada has in all over the world. And the latest update was the USMCA, which was formerly NAFTA, which regulates free trade between Canada, the United States, and Mexico. And the CPTPP, which is the Comprehensive Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership between Canada and the Pacific nations. But there are other local regulations, but that you need to be mindful before you enter the Canadian market. And the ambassador mentioned, but I also included in my slide, we had a specific question before this webinar related to milk product export and supply management system in Canada. If you go to the Access to Markets website, which has been developed and operated by DG Trade and the European Commission, you will find detailed trade regulation by products, HS numbers, and if it's to the EU or from the European Union. So food imports to Canada constitute about 4.5% of the total import to Canada, and most of them is grocery store sales, 75%, and alcoholic beverages around 19%, and specialty foods about 6%. And as I mentioned, the main trading partner in this sector as well is the United States. But where is Lithuania in this picture? So this graph shows the Eastern European Union member states, and of course Poland has the largest chunk of the export from the European food export from the European Union to Canada, being the largest country in that group, and Lithuania has about 4% share from the EU Eastern export to Canada. What are the latest trends in the Canadian food market? And I think Olga, whom we are going to hear from, is the prime example of there is a demand for organic, healthy, natural products in Canada. And so if you have a product in this sector, your prospects are excellent to enter this market, and Mike and PGA can be the great partner for you to find the right buyer for your product. Healthy eating has been a growing trend in Canada, so many Canadians are mindful of the ingredients, the products they are consuming. They are looking for gluten-free, trans-fat-free, dairy-free, lactose-free products, also mindful of sodium reductions, etc. On this slide, I just wanted to share this graph about who are the main players in the Canadian retail market. And I think Mike is going to elaborate on this. So Canada's retail market is divided by 5 major stores that are 3 traditional grocery stores and 2 general merchandisers, and they command about 77% of the market, and Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia represent 74% of Canada's retail market. So if you would like to enter Canada, we strongly suggest you pick one of these provinces to enter. And this is our contact page, and on this note, thank you for your attention, and I'd like to give the floor to Mike Ricciardi, who is PGA's associate in PACE Market Research. Mike?
Great, thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me well, and I'll get right into it. Thank you, Stefania. Thank you, everybody that has presented so far, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. It's great for somebody like me who has always been around food for over 36 years in this industry to learn more about a nation and their products. So going into it, I think one of the first things, I'll tell you a little bit quickly about myself. I've been in sales and purchasing in food in North America, both equally in Canada and United States for the past 36 years. Most importantly for you, as I was for 4 years, I was a buyer for Loblaws, which is our largest chain. And I was responsible for $4 billion a year of purchasing for private label products, international products. So having said that, I think what you need to do to start as a company, as a producer and a potential exporter, is do an internal audit and understand where you are as far as potential exports. You play in the large retail set, large volume for producers, or are you a more gourmet type company that wants to deal more with independents, smaller independents, and specialty markets like that? Or are you a food service company, or are you a little bit of everything? Those are the first things that you have to understand about yourselves. And then going from there is continuing an internal audit is your production capabilities and capacities. What fields are you in? Are you in the organic set, as Stefania mentioned, is a very popular set right now. It has been for a while, and it keeps growing. The natural set, whether it's gluten-free and so on. And also understanding what you currently have already. What certifications do you have? Because inevitably, when you're dealing with export, the companies want to know they're dealing with reputable companies. They want to know, do you have your BRC, your ISOs, what other internal, what other certifications do you have? Have you had any third-party audits for other retailers around the world? Are you already dealing with other retailers around the world? So therefore, a company from Canada or United States can understand that you're already equipped and you already understand the ins and outs and the difficulties that they face on an ongoing base. Understanding your ingredients, your spec sheets, having all that up to date, readily available if somebody should ask. Those are things that you need to do. Also understanding the market, and this is where Stefania mentioned earlier, we also conduct market studies. This is very important, both for the Canadian and US market that we do. It's very important because you need to understand where you are and compare to your comparison to your competitors. If you have a product, and let's say it's a 300-gram jar of honey, and we do a market study for you on honey throughout the United States and Canada, and you figure out that you're more expensive than all of them. Their ingredient deck is the same as all of them, or not even as good as some of them, but yet you're at a higher price bracket already. It also helps for you to understand that it's not the market for you, or you need to make some adjustments in order to be able to play in that market. Your production capabilities and capacity is very important. You need to know what you can produce. You know, it's happened to me many times where somebody said to me, "Oh, we can produce, 150,000 kilos a month," but maybe they were already producing 135,000 kilos for others. So your real production availability is 50,000 kilos per month. So a major retailer might not be the best option for you. Other things that you need to consider are, do you want to play in the private label set? Do you want to promote your brand? And this gets very tricky, because if you want to promote your own brand in Canada and United States, you will need several $100,000. So it is very expensive. Listing fees are some of the things, marketing funds, demos, percentages. Now look at the private label side. The only fee that you're really going to be responsible for is an artwork for the packaging and so on. And you're looking at anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 per SKU. On the retail, on the branded side, you could be facing $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 per SKU just for listing fees alone on the retail. So many times people came to me at Loblaws and said, I want to grow my own brand. If you don't have $250,000, $500,000 available, don't even go down that path. So private label is a real strong option. For those of you who do not want to play in the large market and the large retailer set, the options are the independent gourmet stores and so on. Luckily in Canada, the independent market is still very strong. And I'd say one of the strongest, probably the strongest in North America. And there are many stores that you can take part in. There are importers and distributors that distribute to these stores. There are specialty Eastern European markets and European stores. So those are strong options for you. And those are to be considered. But again, this is something you need to know in advance. So when you're talking to us, you have to say to us, "Mike, we want to play in the gourmet set, independent. We're looking at skids as opposed to containers in volume." Or the flip side, you could also be great with raw materials and have large volumes available. It could be a commodity. And we could also find customers for that set, whether it's bulk stores or processors that need raw material to produce final plates and so on. Those are some of the things. And again, we can get into more. Sorry, let me just go back a second. Another thing that you need to be ready to give us information when we're talking to retailers, and that is your MOQs, your minimum order quantity. That is both for production and for labeling, right? So have that ready and prepared. Have that, almost a dossier ready with all this information, so that when we approach a retailer for you, or if we approach a retailer for you, we have the confidence that you have done your study, you have your MOQs in place, you have your ingredient deck and spec sheets, specification sheets ready, you have your certifications ready. Everything that we try to anticipate any question that a retailer might have, right? So instead of having the retailer say, "Oh, what's their MOQ? Okay, what's your MOQ? What certifications do they have? What certifications do you have? Let's address all that at the beginning, and so on. Yeah, trade shows are a great option. There's a couple that I strongly recommend. So if there's anybody interested in taking part in trade shows and that, I think there's a couple that that I really trust and I really believe are great for products like this. Quickly, a couple other things to consider for the Canadian market are we do have a couple of government-run issues. So cheese quota, cheese and dairy quota, which has been allocated to people. It's not like the States where you can purchase more of it at a percentage. There's a certain amount that's allocated and it's already been allocated. Every year it goes up for review and there's an option to get into more, but most will go through a process. So we find here a lot of expensive cheeses because there's always going to be an extra $4 or $5 per kilo tacked on because of the quota or who rents it out to people and so on. And the other one is with liquor, where in Ontario per se, we have the LCBO, which is a monopoly that runs all the liquor control, all the liquor purchases in Canada. So you have to go through that system. So these are all things that we're equipped to walk you through, to assist you with, and so on. But we're a professional group, and we like to deal with professional companies, and we like to present you as a professional company when we speak to a retailer or to a food service company about you. I'm sure that there's many more things to discuss and everything. Right here, I only have a few minutes in that, but I look forward to hearing from you and possibly extending this conversation longer.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Stefania. I think we saved some few minutes. Can we take on the floor one question? What I saw already. The question sounds like that. Is it enough to have FSSC 22,000 certificate for a food producer to export to Canada and the company is producing milk products?
Well, the answer is I'm not sure. The problem with milk products is again running into quota. So that's your first concern. There's if I wanted to bring in milk from your country, it would probably cost me a few $100s a liter because of the quota. So nobody really brings in milk and things like that because it just eats up. It goes into the quota. It just doesn't make sense. It's a product that does not sell for $37.
Maybe I could say like a dairy product. So it's more not like a milk, raw milk, but it's a dairy product. Maybe it's just
again. I'd have to see the price levels that we're talking about, because if it's an item that sells for $1 a liter, it's not gonna work. It just doesn't have any room in there. If it's an expensive cheese that we can mark up for $4 or $5 a kilo on top of the actual cost and everything, then we can find a quota for it. We can always rent quota. We can always use we can always bring in dairy products. We find we take advantage. There's a system here that you can rent quota. But if I go to a cheese quota holder and I rent some of their dairy quota, it's going to cost me about $4 or $5 a kilo. So you take the product, the starting price, then you add on this $4 or $5 a kilo, then the transportation and distribution cost and everything. Now there's your new price. So if it's a product that's only costing $1 or $2 a kilo to begin with, it really doesn't make sense. But certifications, most companies, it really varies from company to company. It also depends on the volume, on the type of company you're dealing with. If we're dealing with the Loblaws or a Sobeys or a Metro or Walmart, they're going to want as many certifications as possible, including the BRCs and so on. If it's a small independent importer and he's going to bring in 2 skids of your product and distribute it, that's really not going to be an issue. It's going to face any legal certifications that minimum requirements that they have, but a small independent store is not going to ask you about certifications.
And just to finish with,
suggest you visit the Access to Markets website. I saw the additional question. You put in the HS number and you get the answer.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think we'll still have afterwards question answer session. And now I would like to invite Laurynas Miškinis from company Auga. So this is the company who came with their brand name to the Canadian market. So Laurinas, please, floor is yours.
Do you hear me?
Yes. So can you make us full screen for your presentation?
Do you see that? Well,
yeah, now it's great. Thank you.
Good. So, hello everyone. It's very difficult to speak English to Lithuanian companies because I can fluently speak Lithuanian. But as we agreed there, I'll go with English. So, in short, about Auga Group, I think most of Lithuanian companies already heard about us who are new to our name. So, we are organic producers, farmers, and we export most of our products worldwide. And today I'll share some experience, practical ones, how we did that and came to Canada. And that will be kind of some tips that I would like to share. Why? Because some of them were just new and unexpected for us. And if we could be aware of that before starting entrance to Canada, it would be much easier, less costly, and more effective. So I'd like to share with you so you could have easier entrance. In short about us, so these are our export markets. So yeah, a lot of north part of the globe is already green. Yeah, you see here, China is still pink, but we entered already. So I'm happy to share with you this info. And also, we entered not only to Canadian market, but USA as well. And the only thing that I must emphasize, and that Mark and Al shared, that Canada is a good entrance point to North America region. And definitely it is. Why? Because rules are more simple, they're more clear, and yet they look like more typical to European ones compared to what USA has. So yeah, if you think about entrance to US market and Canadian market, Canada could be easier. So what our learnings about Canada market as whole? So one thing is you must know that we have different time zone. And this is not only because of complicated communication, but also complicated of understanding how business is done in that particular area. I mean, North America. In Canada, yeah, it's a federal country. That means you have a lot of different federal states. And it is much more complicated compared to what you will find later on in the US. It's more close to what we have different legislation in Lithuania, Poland, Germany, France, and Italy. So be prepared for that. And our tip and suggestion and what we did is we found a distributor, importer distributor, or in your case, it could be an agent or a representative who knows the market and who could help you understand whether you have the right product, you are prepared with that product for that particular market, and of course, share some additional requirements that are must to import to Canada. So collect all data before quotation. What does it mean? Let's say you have inquiry from Canada and they ask, please give us information about your products, quotation, pricing, so we'll see whether we can do something for you or not. Be aware of that. Please ask all the questions that are in your mind, especially what will be the price chain and what will be the entrance cost. Why it is important? Because from one point, the margin and cost chain, price chain is completely different that you can see and find in Europe. And also a very important part is that all trade activities are much more costly and expensive than we have here. Mike mentioned one is an entrance fee or listing fee or something called that you must pay fixed to enter to the shelves. We had this in Lithuania, I don't know, 15 years ago. So it's already forgotten. But it is very typical in Canada. It's kind of, you know, common sense. But if you do not ask this question, you will not be prepared and your pricing will be too low. That means either at the end of the day, spending half a year of negotiation, you will skip a particular contract because it will be loss making for you, because the pricing was not wrong, not right, because you didn't collect all the data before quotation. And it's the most important thing. Please ask all the questions and collect all data before quotation, not after. And the second part, also Mike mentioned, you know, Mike mentioned that design fee from 3 to 5,000 per SKU. Also in cases of private label projects. You know, in Europe, we understand that if it is private label, so all the cost of preparation for design is on customer side and vice versa. In North America, it's common that supplier or vendor covers all possible costs that are related to the product. That means, despite that it will be private label that will belong to Loblaw, Sobeys, Costco, or whatever, they will issue an invoice for that marketing preparation and design fees for you to cover. Ask that before. So all in all, you must collect all information about what costs, deductions, and other product-related expenses will occur in the way to the shelf and put that into the pricing. And that means that pricing should be individual and oriented and calculated for each customer, each inquiry. And definitely, if you have, let's say, a decision that you go with your label, not private label, but your brand, so pricing for Loblaws, for Costco, and for Metro will be 3 different ones. Why? Because you must put additional fees into the pricing. So 2 things about partner distributor. It is a must, so you must find one that will help you enter the market. And second one, you must prepare a business case for each individual customer. If we talk about the consumer, so we understood a very simple thing, that if there will be a product, so definitely there will be some consumers that will buy that. So what this message is about, that all the products or the companies that I see participating in this webinar has a possibility to enter the market because they have more or less right product for Canadian market. That's for sure. But it is very fragmented market due to different regulations, but not only because of that, but because of a lot of different federal states. You have not a lot, but all of them you have different trends in consumption. And East Coast consumption and trends are completely different from West Coast. The same as in US, the same as in Europe from north to south. So have it in mind, Canada is not one country. It's a fragmented country, and you must decide to which region enter first. And yeah, organic was mentioned as a trendy, and we are in that segment, but be aware that organic is not an USP, it's a category. So you must find additional benefits, values, and unique selling propositions for your range and your particular products in order to find a consumer. And only being, you know, vegan, free from, and vice versa, organic, it is not enough anymore. That's not an USP. USP must be on particular SKU, and you must emphasize that. And labeling is a message. You know, it's bilingual labeling. That means you must label English and French, and it is a must. It's very complicated. That's from our experience. And the tip here is find a consultant company that could help you to prepare a product, I mean, labeling, nutrition panel, and all required information and documentation for particular product input. It's not very costly. From our experience, per SKU, per position is from $600 US to $1,500. And that's it. That's one-time expense to prepare product right for Canadian market. So this must be done, and this is the most tricky part. So search for agency and use their services. If you need one, you can write me down. I'll send several contacts for you for easier contacting. How we did that? So first is trade shows and matchmaking. Definitely, we are understood as Europe, not Lithuania, not Eastern Europe. No, we are Europe. The same as Canada for us is Canada, but you know, when you go that side, you understand that there's no Canada. There's different places, different towns, different cities, different regions, states, and vice versa. So being visible in trade shows and in using matchmaking sessions is a key point to find the right people. Second part about that is that if you want to catch a big fish, you need to participate twice, 3, 4, 5 times. They maybe will not come to your booth or will not come to speak or with you in matchmaking session, or even they will not say that they are from one or another company, because they usually do not say that. But they must see that you are willing to enter the market, and that will is showed by your intense investment into showing your brand and showing that you are interested in. Trade shows and matchmaking is the point where you can show that interest, and they will see that. Second part is, of course, close cooperation with embassies and consuls. Our experience is that, yeah, definitely embassies will not do a work for you, but they will help you to understand what are you doing right and wrong. And the second part is, in some cases, if it is, let's say, especially bigger fish, they try to dig deeper and understand about your company, get information, and also check government side on official information. Having that, so close cooperation with embassies, sharing information about you, your company, your intentions, your strategies towards one or another market will help to share information with leads, and also to have consistency in information you provide directly and they get from the embassies and third parties. Dedicated resources, that means if you want to enter into such big markets as Canada, US, you must dedicate human resources. Of course, some marketing, some preparation, I mean finance, yeah, it's a must, but human resources, it's a must with no question. If there will be kind of a part job, forget it. If there will be no precise contact with whom to contact in case there will be a lead from Canada and you do not have any, forget that. So it must be dedication. Either it is focus or you do not try. Face-to-face negotiation. You know, it's very easy to go to another country in Europe. Of course, not nowadays. We are stuck at our homes and Lithuania, but usually it's very common. But when it comes to please come to us and we would like to get more information, and that lead is in another continent, so it's quite costly. But it is a very big advantage, or let's say step forward, if you agree, come and stay for several days. That also, like trade shows and matchmaking, shows your intention and willingness to invest into the market. Maybe it will be kind of 5 different meetings with 5 different potential buyers, leads, and 4 of them will be closed at the very beginning, but 1 will be the one that will be lead. So if they are asking to come, use that option, because it's very rare where when companies outside Europe are asking to come for more deep discussion face to face. So if you have this question or ask, just use it. Product adaptation. So yeah, we invested we hired the company called Quality. They helped us to prepare our product, especially labeling for Canadian market. Why this is important? Because if you'll fail and there will be a recall, one or another, so it will cost you a 5-year profit from that market. And we understood that, we calculated that, and said, okay, we can invest 6 more weeks, about 5,000 euros, and that's it. Now we are very calm and can sit and say that, yeah, we are prepared, and our product is well prepared and recognized in Canada. And the most important part is patience. For us to come to Canadian market from the very first scratch, that was at the end of 2016, took 2 years of intense investing into exhibitions, matchmaking, traveling. I have been in 4 different cities in Canada and 3 regions. And despite that, after that, it took additional 2 years for discussions, exchanging on information, different quotations before we entered into Costco, and now all also are presented in Metro. As I said, consultants for product compliance. A very important part is reliable logistic partner. What does it mean in this case? So please search at once now for partner logistic company that could offer full service door-to-door. Not FOB, not CIF, not whatever DAP, but door-to-door. That means they want or prefer to get your product, if you agree on, like from local supplier. They'll not deal with customs. They'll not deal with transshipment companies or local shipment services. They want your product at their door. There are several good logistic companies in Lithuania. They are, of course, branches of global ones, but their service is quite good, and they can guarantee delivery in time, whether it's weekend, middle of night, or whatever, to any place in North America. But you must be prepared, calculate that, and put that in the price. And as I said, business case for each separate customer. Do not forget that, and please take your time, calculate all possible costs, and put that into the contract so that it could be no surprises later on. So that's how we did that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Laurynas, for actually being so open and sharing your experience. And actually, I believe that it can save a lot of time and money for these ones who want to enter Canadian market. And using an opportunity, I'd like to wish you a great success in Canadian market. And I don't see any further questions from the companies. Either everything is clear, either there are a lot of questions. But what I would like to ask maybe Al or Mike or Stefania after Lauryna's presentation, maybe you have some insights or some additional information you want to share. So
yes, please. I think thank you, Laurynas. That was great. That was very well put, and I think he was very accurate on all his points. There were some great points there. I think that one of the things that he mentioned near the end, and I stress to you, is patience while moving forward. A lot of companies want results. They want them fast. They want them for free. They want it done this way. A lot of projects take a long time. As Laurynas mentioned, he didn't just call a company 2 weeks ago and they started buying from him right away. I did a deal with Walmart recently for 60 Italian products. It's a $10 million project first year. It took a year to put together. So this is the one thing that I do want to stress to you as well. Have limited expectations of what, you know, a lot of these companies, when you see a brand on the market, on the shelves that's been there for a long time, sells millions of dollars, you have to go back and see the history. And I bet you that company has been investing for the last 20 years and now got to this level where they're selling, you know, 100 containers a year here. So that's one thing to be really cautious of. Just sending your product and hoping to get results and sales is not going to do it. It does happen. Some people have been very lucky that way, but for the most part, it's very, very well structured and time.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important to, for instance, before striking out into Canada, you know, to do market study for your products or particular product. As all the speakers have mentioned, and Lodius did as well, Canada is a bunch of different provinces, but we have major population centers. There's Ontario, which has 13, 14 million people. And then BC, Quebec, you know, so there are some provinces that are very small. They have less than 1 million people in some of the provinces. So you have to maybe do your homework and find out where you'd like to go. But also, I mean, I think the first step would be to just get the lay of the land, to do a comprehensive market study, to give you a little bit of an indication as to just in general how it may turn out for your product if you, in other words, is it worth it to move forward at all? Lodina, do you not think that would be, did you start with the market study or anything like that when you, before you came into the market? And do you think that's helpful for different companies?
Yeah, definitely, because, you know, first question is that market ready for us? Second, is that, are we ready for that market? And third one, how? And that was a long way to understand how and why, because as I said, North America is completely different in terms of business mentality compared to Europe. And you must be prepared for some surprises that, you know, they might be common in that side, but very uncommon for you. And market understanding is kind of a must. I don't imagine how it can be done differently. Of course, it can be a lottery and success, but we are not that company.
Michael, maybe you could enlighten us in terms of what a market study would entail and what the cost would be for some of the industries here, the companies that are trying to figure out, you know, how they might want to proceed. Because we've heard a lot of scary things in terms of all the costs and all the time and all the effort that goes into this, which is very accurate. But that preliminary step, the market study, Michael, what is it that you feel? Tell us about it. Elucidate.
Sure. Thank you. I think it's very, as mentioned already, I think it's very important. I think it's a great initial document for you to have and to understand where you are at this point in your travels as far as export and what you need to do in order to have a chance of success. So what we do is, I'll try to leave the cost, like we're one of the more reasonable companies out there. Seeing market studies being done for $25,000 and up and so on. We try to be a little more reasonable. We start out like around the €5,000 mark, but I would assume that for a group, if we were to do something as a group, we could do something better for you for sure. Understanding that what it entails is basically we would receive your product, your information, we would study that. Then we would check the markets, East, West, and Central Canada, East, West, and Central United States, and see your competitors and where they are. So let's say, again, you have a 250-gram jar of jam. We would check out, in those sectors, we would check out all the jams in various markets. It could be Walmart, it could be 2 or 3 other major retailers of that area. And it will also encompass a few different independent stores or gourmet stores, depending where you are. that point, you will receive information on how your competitors are already set up here and are already successful, already on a shelf. So let's call that somewhat success. Yeah, you'll see that their size, if you're in a totally different size, is that a benefit to you? We were dealing with a pasta company a while ago that kept packaging in a 500-gram pack, but the whole market was 450. They weren't getting that extra 10% of recognition. They were just seen as higher cost. But we're trying to make people understand, yeah, but it's 10% more product. People don't see it. They see a pack that looks similar. They think everything's similar. Why am I paying more for this pack? So you have to you start to understand maybe the look as well. What's the look that goes best here? Again, putting some bullets of information. Is it sugar free? Is it easy to use? Is it something you just add to a dish and serve? Anything that you can put as a bullet point. But we would tell you about your size versus your competitors, your price point versus your competitor, because we can work out, if you tell us your starting point, we can tell you what it's going to retail for. So if you're going to end up retailing at $1 higher than your competitors, it tells you right there, you might not have, for no reason, for no extra top quality ingredient, your chance of success might be limited. In some cases, people have invested in a market study to realize that's it. I'm not going to invest anymore. The country's not for me. I'm not going to pay those listing fees. I'm not going to pay the taxes and so on. So again, it's a market study to see how you are versus pricing, packaging look, packaging sizes, size of potential market. Is this something that could go into grocery stores, or is it just limited to gourmet markets, and you're talking about skids as opposed to containers? Yeah, any rules and regulations we will tell you about, any products that are not permissible in Canada. Generally, if a product, if the ingredients that make up a product are all approved products, the product will be approved. But if there's one item, like I saw some of the questions that came in a couple of days ago, asking about certain ingredients and are they permissible in Canada, that we have to look into it on a case-per-case situation. But we set you up properly. We also set you up to see, who are the best possible importers for your product, because as Lorena mentioned earlier, you have to set up with an importer distributor, because even the large chains, rarely do they want to buy direct, where they take the containers directly and take responsibility for them, because inevitably what happens is if a retailer buys 8 of your SKUs, inevitably 2 are going to sell very well, 2 are going to sell pretty well, 2 are going to sell okay, 2 are not going to sell very well at all. But when they have to reorder a container, they might not be able to make it up of just the top 3 or 4 products. So they want to rely on somebody here that's holding inventory for them, and they want to deal with a European company, but in Canada. So they want to be able to pick up the phone and say, send me 4 skids of this product. I don't need to reorder containers every time. So we set you up with all that, all the possible importers. Now we tell you about the best shows, that best trade shows that would work for you, any type of advertising or marketing that would work for you, demonstrations and so on. So we set you up. We set you up with a full document. It'll be, could be a 25-page report on the conditions and marketing. Could be Canada and United States or both, and set you up with a strong document to start your business.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And one of my question is, you already received some questions from companies. Are you able to answer any of them or part of them right now, or you are?
I personally have only seen like one set of, or there was a couple of questions. No, each are a little more detailed. Okay. One of the problems has been COVID. Even normally I have people in the government that I can call, or the CFIA or the Border Patrol, and that I can call and ask, hey, listen, how's this product here? We can look up by HS codes and that. Sometimes I try to also use my contacts, because in many cases you'll find that the codes work in a way where it could say, honey, but then there's honey in the bag, honey in a jar, honey with this, honey with that, and so you're not sure where your classification fits into. And CETA, of course, has removed a lot of the duties in that, but you still want to be 100% sure. As Lorena's mentioned earlier, you don't want to have any surprises at the end. where you've set up your pricing and everything, and then you find out that it's happened in the past with me, or not with me, but people I've known, where all of a sudden, that product is 13.5% duty. Well, you can't go back to the retailer and tell them that, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Your price is now 14% higher. It just doesn't work. So we want to prepare you. So we couldn't answer those questions in a matter of hours. So it's going to require, a little more. It is sometimes too. We also end up using the broker, the freight broker that ends up doing or the custom broker that ends up doing that. Because what you want to have is also confirmation from a source like that, from a custom broker that can give you a definite whether the ingredient is permissible and the fees or duties associated with it.
Okay, thank you. Can we answer one hanging question? What are the rules bringing food beverage business samples? I think it's related to trade fairs, trade show.
Totally open, especially in Canada. The United States requires a pre-ship notice. So all products that are going to come in have to be pre-approved and pre-things. In Canada, it doesn't exist really, as long as the item is identified and custom documents are prepared properly. Unfortunately, in many cases, somebody wants to send some wine or something, they might put olive oil. Things happen, but generally, all products are fine to come into Canada. I would stay away or look into, before shipping any meats, anything like meat, dairy, I would look into first, get permissions in that. But if somebody wants to send cookies or jams or a beverage, a mineral water, or things like that, it's very open. We receive samples every day, and you can also get permits to a special import permit one time for importing wines or anything, or getting samples of wine and so on.
Okay, thank you. And there was some echo, so I thought somebody's talking. As I don't see any more questions, I would like to thank all our guests for all your insight, for all your information you provided. I think we can maybe share your contacts with the companies that are here, maybe in the future, to contact you. And as well, I would like to ask an ambassador to send their contacts for our consuls. I think due to lack of time, they were not able to present themselves, but for companies to know for the future, their contacts, and maybe to contact them.
Definitely ready to do that. And I saw that a few minutes after 9, Paulius Kuras, our honorary consul general, honorary consul in Toronto, joined us. So we had 75% of our honorary consuls on the line.
That's great. Yeah, because I think time is running very fast. If we had some more time, there was possibility to present themselves, maybe next time. And but however, the contacts are really relevant. So again, thanks all of you. Thank you for joining for some very early morning. And using an opportunity, I'd like to wish safe and healthy Christmas, but still very happy New Year to all of you. So thank you again. Hopefully we'll manage to have a business mission next year and meet all of you, face to face. So thank you again. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye to all of you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.